Welcome, folks. Tonight, our topic of the evening is Kickstarter. As many of you know, it's become a very popular method for people to raise funds and get their business launched. And so we have with us tonight a couple of individuals that have actually gone through the experience, and they're going to be sharing their stories with us tonight. We have a standardized questionnaire, and we're just going to run down the line here one at a time. We'll start with Michael. Mike, go ahead and tell us about yourself, your project, and list those questions you see there. If we can.
Okay, so I've done 2 Kickstarters.
Oh, okay.
The first one was a film project that was successful. It's
Meaning you closed the campaign.
we closed the campaign and made enough money to make the film. We got the short version done. We got better footage than we had anticipated, and are now looking at kind of raising some more money to do a full feature edit.
Is this an entertainment video or is it a sales video? Or?
Okay, so I race cars, electric drive, and my nephew had just entered school, USC, and anyway, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the racetrack, I'm going to give my nephew a ride down the drag strip in my car, and we'll invite friends and family, no cameras, no press, no business, fun day, barbecue, etc. Third person I invite says, hey, can I bring my Uncle Jeff? He's always wanted to ride down in a race car. And by the way, he's blind. I was like, okay, that's awesome. It's an electric car, so it's not going to be as fun for a blind man, I don't know. But it does pull over a G, so anyway. Next thing you know, we've got 9 cameras, a crew of 7, multiple mics, and Uncle Jeff is an amazing person. We get a lot of his story. He was driving a car blind, younger than any of us.
Oh.
He was operating the pedals and working the steering wheel. And, our first thought was, how tall was he? And then it occurred to me, first, that he didn't have to see over the dash. And it was like, there were like 3 moments like that where we just got this wonderful insight. And in addition to having him, in the drag strip and, we got to play around in a top-fueled dragster in neutral at the pits. We put some other people in the car and we blindfolded them so that they had a similar experience. Now, my car does pull the front 2 wheels off the ground when I launch and most of the way down the track, but we have wheelie bars that make it so, they're only a couple inches off the ground and everything's safe. But when you're pulling 1G, you do the math on that, it feels like you're 80 degrees tilted, so like you're on your back. And one of the people was borderline freaking out, which was awesome. He's like, this is really sketchy.
Okay.
The other person was a professional drag racing gorgeous female who was going to be our sign language interpreter. Oh, yes. So that's the film. We raised money for all of the expenses. We were planning on a 10-minute short. We made a 10-minute short, but it turns out that we've got a feature in the works. No,
Please.
that one was successful.
Yep.
The second one is Pocket Rocket, your ultimate phone charger. It is your car adapter and your spare battery in one. So it's got a battery inside, plugs in your car. We've gotten great response. We did a silly campaign and a serious campaign, and one of the things we found out, there were some delays and we didn't get the publicity avenues that I have from the racing in time. And what we found out is that you don't want to launch a Kickstarter have a Kickstarter going through November that doesn't ship by Christmas. And we got good response. We did 25% in the first day. So we were well on track. And then it just flattened out. And we looked at the Kickstarters that were doing well, and a number of them were lying about their shipping dates. They were closing, December 20th and saying you get it in December. And that they needed the money to build the molds. It's like, okay, so, we finally got our beta units that we're now testing, and we had the decision that, hey, we can get all of these to our product testers and get feedback and leverage that with our press contacts and stuff. And then we've got like 3 days to execute before our Kickstarter ends. So my important point of advice is, if you think that you'll be ready when it launches for something like the beta, you're wrong. Push it out. We should have pushed it out to next year, and we're going to relaunch in February. We've got some friends at Sony Studio that are going to put them in gift bags for one of their events. So, we've got a lot of stuff that's lined up that the timing, because of Christmas, was wrong. So, if you're going to do a Kickstarter around the November time, make sure you've got something shipping by Christmas.
Good lessons. Okay. Right on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. We'll have questions at the end. Okay. Ross.
Hi, my name is Roth Weinstein. I'm from here in San Diego, Solana Beach. My product name is the RevTech Roller. If you're familiar with foam rollers, they're an exercise tool that allows you to self-massage. And basically, I put a rod through one, put it on 2 A-frames, and made it stationary so it rolls in place. Basically, what
So this is for exercising your back.
it's more or less for not necessarily your back, but all your muscle groups. The idea between with self-massage, just like a stretching or a masseuse giving you a massage, basically, you're just getting out knots in your back. It's basically a self-massage tool. And of the number of problems that it has, the solution to the stationary functionality was that you can roll in place without taking up so much room. Your shirt doesn't get caught. There's a lot of pressure management and leverage options that you have with it. So just within the foam roller product itself, it's like the basic wheel. If you don't have an axle or brakes to control it, a wheel rolling down the hill doesn't do much for you. So it's basically a means of controlling that wheel or the spinning of it. I did a Kickstarter campaign because free money without equity. I think that's basically one of the main reasons why we do it. But I did a crowdfunding campaign for really 2 reasons. One, it was basically a gamble, basically that I can invest X amount of dollars and with hopes of getting that viral effect and hopefully getting 10 to 100 to 1,000 times back on my money and getting seed money to ultimately invest. The second reason was that it was basically a platform for just getting my product out, getting the word out. Kickstarter nowadays, I mean, within the entrepreneurship community or product development, it's kind of a coined term for any real inventor. So basically getting money and basically just getting it out and getting the word out for it. My goal was $25,000. I was unsuccessful. I only raised $5,000. And surprisingly, the $5,000 that I raised was within the first 48 hours, which basically came from all family and friends. And then the marketing team that I had managing my campaign not necessarily didn't do their job well. It was also a lack on my part with giving them content to roll out on the timeline that we had strategized with. My gifts basically started with a $1 thank you, $5 high five. We had basically, I had the idea for the roller when I was training for a boxing match, and so that's kind of how I developed some of the rewards around it. For $15, basically we offered a live broadcast of a fight that I was supposed to be doing with my cousin as a family grudge match, which that's originally what started it. He challenged me to a boxing match 2 years ago, started training, started using the foam roller. I won the first one. He didn't learn his lesson, so he challenged me to another one, which was supposed to take place on the 19th of December. And surprisingly, I broke a rib, so we have to push it out 2 more months, but it's still happening. And then $20 was a water bottle, $30 was a t-shirt and water bottle, and then for the actual unit itself started at $60, and then everything above that was just a multiplier of those units. You got 2 units, 5 units, 10 units. how much social media did you do? One of the mistakes that I probably made in hindsight was I tried doing this organically. I thought the product was good enough to where once I got through my first and second degree connections through all my social media, in addition to my marketing campaign with my digital marketing company, that was enough to kind of get enough content on the internet to really get that viral effect. It didn't work.
So how many, you created probably a Facebook page and a website, and how many likes or how many followers did you have?
So
What was
with
your starting point?
so one of the interesting things that we did with my campaign was instead of pre-populating 2, 3, 4 weeks prior to my launch date, we decided to do a viral marketing approach where day one we launched all of our content and basically tried to use that as kind of a springboard to really start to get our followers. So within the first 4 days of the campaign, I got 600 likes on my Facebook page, 200 followers on Instagram. I think I had 4,000 followers on Twitter. And then from there, it kind of, after day 4 or 5, it just plateaued. And so once I got past my real first degree friends and family, I pretty much didn't get any contributions or backings outside of that. Now I did this organically, so I didn't pay for ads. I didn't do any of that, and I think that was a mistake because when I went live with my campaign inbox, I got probably 20 to 50 emails from Kickstarter marketing companies saying, we got the silver package all the way up to the platinum package where we've raised 20 million for these. And you kind of, one of the pieces of advice was, I guess when you do this Kickstarter, you kind of have to play that game. You kind of have to invest in that because they have the demographics and they have the markets for people that aren't necessarily willing to back it, but people that are actually willing to put their credit card information in. Getting people to your page and watching your video is one thing versus getting to actually put their credit card information in. And that was a big, that really reduced my target market between what my product would apply to versus trying to get people to contribute. So people in the 45 to 50 plus age range, they were less likely. I mean, I think only 5 or 6% of my backers were of that age range. So playing that game. Now, if you guys have a kick-ass marketing team and you could do all your social media and you're willing to put the hours and hours of just monitoring where all your posts are and the feedback that you're getting, I mean, go for it. It's awesome. But if you don't and you need help, you kind of got to play into that game that with those marketers that are giving to you, because that's where, I mean, they kind of make money on that. So that's where they're really going to be driving traffic to you. So you got to kind of play that game.
So we did that,
Okay.
and we found that the people who contact you don't work.
Okay.
But we did get, we were popular and trending, and in terms of number of backers, about 40% came directly from Kickstarter.
Right.
From Kickstarter. They saw us on Kickstarter, went to our subpage and backed us.
Yeah, a majority of my backers had already backed other projects.
Right.
So-
And we got, we had the friends and family, which were the rest of it. And we got a few hits from the different marketing groups we tried. But certainly it didn't pay for itself.
Okay, so that's on the other end. So,
There are going to be good groups. They're not going to contact you.
right.
And there's groups that there's one that we're considering, depending on how things go, that want 30% of the gross.
Yeah.
But they take care of manufacturing and fulfillment. And they do the campaign for you. They build the campaign, they market it, you give them the invention, and they take it out of your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of your hands.
I mean, I think that's one of the biggest.
That happens.
I mean, find your core competency. I'm an ideator. I'm in supply chain too, so I understand how manufacturing works. But putting the product in my hand is one thing, but releasing it in the 2016 world and online is something I have no idea about. I mean, I could read books and learn it from text, but going through it, you have to understand what value you could bring in marketing your campaign, but you also have to understand and just fully vet on what, if you are going with the company to take over and manage your campaign and basically do all your social media and do all the content. I mean, I think that's the key to really funding a great Kickstarter campaign, because yeah, I mean, releasing something in the market today is a lot different than going door to door and selling something.
Did you hear that, Cindy? 30%?
Yeah.
And they reject most people because they don't want to waste their time.
Dean, I didn't see you sit up here, but I know you had some experiences yourself with your campaign. Did you have any different experiences? Oh, you were.
I could do a sit there, yeah.
Or from your chair, we're all comfortable here. so.
Okay.
If you can use the mic, that'd be better.
Yeah, just one last thing, suggestions to the group. I kind of half-assed my thing. I thought, okay, I'll do a video, I'll put it up and see what happens. It's not going to work, in my opinion. I mean, this is something that you need to fully vet and make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze. I really needed $10,000 or $15,000 to do my molds and get 200 units. I spent $10,000 on my marketing campaign and didn't reach my goal. So I could have completely not gone the Kickstarter route and still had 10 of the $15,000 that I needed to get my product available. So.
Dean,
I've had quite a bit of experience with the whole routine up and down and Kickstarter and Indigo, and one of the better things I think is really going to, if you have a hardware product, is going to the hardware show. They have a inventor spotlight thing. That's only $2,500, and you're not spending a bunch of money on.
you'll find investment money there?
If you want to, yeah, you'll find investment money there. I mean, you license, manufacture.
Seen the signs up for
It's a different approach, but there's now a thing that's called equity net, since they changed the laws with the crowdfunding thing, that you may really want to look into as well, because then you're dealing with professional investors, and that's
Investing
not
in your
that expensive.
company, Yeah, right.
It's not that expensive. So, but with the Kickstarter thing, I think really the biggest thing is the team. You really need a good team and a marketing crew. So, it's like Ben over here. Get the professionals.
Well, it does take a team.
And then
we've got
Sydney
some
doing a
experience
professional,
I'll close on.
professional video and things like that. And it's not really worth it to just kind of throw it out there and slap it together. It's time consuming, and you learn a lot, but I mean, the whole idea is to win, right?
Right. So a lot more preparation will end up in a better result.
Yeah, and having groups with people like this. I mean, Sydney and Ben and you and people that have experienced different things. I mean, that type of insight's very and experience is very helpful. So.
Well, for the example of how things go to the other extreme, Miguel, why don't you tell
There you
us
go.
how,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
My pleasure.
My name is Miguel Valenzuela, and originally I was living in Norway when we started our Kickstarter campaign, and but I'm living in San Diego now. The product name is called PancakeBot, the world's first pancake printer, and it was an idea that was inspired by my daughter Lily, who was 3.5 at the time, where she wanted me to build her a pancake machine out of Legos. And so I spent 6 months and 13 different iterations building a pancake robot out of Legos, which was made 99% out of Legos and 1% ketchup bottle. And because Legos, if you don't know, has bromine in it, so you can't really use it for food. You don't want it to get in contact with food. And what problem does it solve? It solves it solves the problem of being able to create wonderful, beautiful pancakes for your kids, and create the same one over and over again when you have two kids that want the same pancake. So that's one of it. Why we did Kickstarter? Well, originally the Pancake Bot was originally developed in 2012, and well, actually through 2013, and I didn't know what we had, because I had this crazy idea that was made out of Legos that made pancakes. And we were living in Norway, and for those of you that know, when Adrian's talking about the United States is a land of opportunity when it comes to entrepreneurship. Living in a country like Norway, it's very easy or very difficult to get access to a lot of things. And so people are like, why are you going to do this? They didn't see that. There was this crazy Mexican-American living in Norway making pancakes. And we went around telling our story about how Pancake Bot was born to different maker fairs. And we went to Oslo Maker Fair, UK Maker Fair, and we'd take the Lego version, and every time that we would take it, we would build upon it. We would add designs or drawings, and we got a lot of press because it was the only one that was in its existence. Finally, we decided in January 2014 that we've had enough, we've spent enough money traveling to these fairs, and we quit. And I told my wife, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I saw an article written by Dale Dougherty from Make Magazine, who said, Pancake Bot hands down is kid magnet technology. And when the CEO of Make Magazine comments on your idea that way, it made me think, well, we got to do something with this. So I created a prototype that I developed. It took me about 2 months to develop this prototype out of acrylic laser cut parts, and I had to get somebody to program it for me, and I did all the electronics. And then we took it to the Maker Fair in San Mateo in 2014. When we took it there, that's where we got all the attention, because now we could draw wonderful, beautiful pancakes, very precise pancakes. And we got approached by somebody who wanted us to license the idea to them. I was living in Norway at the time and decided that this was probably the best avenue. But we said, this is my project, this is my baby, I'm not just going to give it to you. We have to do something, want something more. We need more feedback from this. So let's do a Kickstarter project to get that feedback from the community and find out how it works. Well, we had built up a fan base that we did not know about with all these maker fairs that we had gone to. And if you don't know anything about the maker fair community, if you have a project, you can go display it. It costs you nothing if you're just a maker and you want to display it. And you have all different types of people that have audiences there. And so what we went ahead and did is, you're talking about spending $10,000 on production and stuff. We shot our video on an iPhone, because I was in Norway and I had an iPhone taped to a microphone stand, and we shot all elements of the video with making pancakes and literally spent $50 making the video. And what we realized is that we had a story to tell. And a lot of times people in the Kickstarter community, they want a story. They want to be able to, they're not there just to buy a product. They want to be able to support somebody's idea, somebody's innovation, somebody's dream. And so you want to tell them their story. You have about 45 seconds to break this all down. So what we did is, in our story, the first 15 seconds was our story. The next 15 seconds were the benefits of the product. And then the last 15 seconds were call of action. Please contribute to the project. Never use the word donate, by the way, because that's actually sets you up on a different IRS status or something like that. It's contribute or assist or something like that. Support the project, exactly. And so then we launched the Kickstarter project at the same time we were at the Housewares show in Chicago. And we had a lot of press associated with it. Now, again, this is the first pancake robot that's ever been made that drew pancakes. It doesn't make round pancakes, it actually draws them in any shape that you want. And within the first 24 hours, we raised our first initial goal, or our goal of $50,000. And the numbers just kept on going up. We ended up raising $460,000 for the project, which 90% of it went to manufacturing. And we were hoping to ship by August. And so we're still struggling we're not struggling right now, we're still barely started production, because what we found with Kickstarter is also a venue to be able to understand what people want. You know, like what other elements? Do they want Bluetooth? Do they want Wi-Fi? What kind of software? What are they going to use it for? And those kind of things. And if you want to make them happy in the long run with the end product, it's a good place to vet those things. And so as a result, we added some components to it and changed the design, and now we're going to be shipping in January. Unfortunately, we're missing the Christmas market, but we're still able to let people pre-order it and have a certificate that says they're going to get a pancake bot, you know, soon afterwards.
So you sort of use the Kickstarter as a focus group?
Yes, we use the Kickstarter as a focus group, and also to raise that attention and to get that that initial momentum. But one of the things is too is that we noticed that a lot of the grassroots effort or the initial contributions came from a lot of these people that were part of that grassroots effort. I met with one of the co-founders of Kickstarter right before the Kickstarter project started, and he told me, ironically enough, that people were wondering, when is PancakeBot going to be on Kickstarter? So I didn't know this. I'm living in Norway on the small little, you know, village over there, and you know, people are over here talking about it. So it was really kind of humbling to know that somebody was interested in this PancakeBot project. But a lot of it, you know, we included our family in it. We included our kids in it, and like I said, it was just shot with a regular iPhone that we did it. So what I want to instill upon people is that tell people your story. You know, tell people the benefits and give them a call to action, all within 45 minutes or 60 or 45 seconds or 60 seconds, but allow people to know about it. That's the first phase, and then the second phase, of course, is during the campaign. During the actual campaign, keep people updated on what's happening. Anytime you have an opportunity to give people updates, it's a great way to remind people to share the project, to share it with other people. So you can almost have updates set up in advance, like, hey, we're at $25,000. Great job. We're going to add bottles. We're going to do this, and we're going to add that. The other thing too is that stretch goals. People always ask, "Oh, once we reach a goal, let's do stretch goals." We decided not to do stretch goals because we had a couple of real high-end stretch goals, but stretch goals are very difficult because it might add lead time to your product development, and it might make things a little more difficult for you to manufacture in the end. But so I guess I answered most of the stuff. But how much social media did we do? We didn't really do a lot. I mean, well, we did a grassroots effort, but it was over many months of going to different maker fairs and that kind of thing to do it. So, but that's our story. That's our story. Cool. So yeah.
Well, there's a success story, huh?
Yeah.
So I'll share with you a little bit as well. We've been involved with some Kickstarter campaigns, but I took the team approach. And as the captain of the team, I've brought in Sydney as a videographer. We brought in our friend Scott, who did some 3D models. I actually created the storyboard, and have our actor to help us with this whole thing. So as a team approach, but what we've spent a lot of time doing is building the back end of this, the Facebook page and the website, and putting enough content on there. We haven't even launched the Kickstarter campaign. We're building the base of people that will support us when we finally do the actual launch. We're expecting that to be next year. Again, we saw the same thing. We're coming towards the end of the year. Let's not, try to jump, and we can't deliver by Christmas. So it's a planned approach. Okay? The effort to create the graphics and to do the video, it's been quite a bit of work. So the team approach, unless you've got all the skills and all your time, to get some people around you to help you put it all together. I'm going to brag a little bit because I am planning my own Kickstarter campaign. Yes, package I created. It's a new product development plan. It's called Inventor to Inventor, and it's help for inventors. And this is a package that's got a spreadsheet that's from your very first concept to making your first pitch. All the stages are outlined. And then there's a booklet that goes with it that explains it. And then all these materials are on the CD, so that you can print them and open them. And the spreadsheet is one that looks at every project can be done in 5 steps. There's about 40-something tasks, but it's 5 steps. And I've defined those, and so in this little booklet, you get a little outline definition of each one of those tasks and what it means. What this does is allow you to see that there's a sequence to events, and that if you follow the sequence, you actually get from A to Z. And if you go out of sequence, you could trip up. So this is a little tool. It's Christmas time. If you've been on my website, I've actually posted this already for $29.95 for the whole package. The idea is here tonight, I brought 10 of these, and I actually personally signed them, so they're the first issues of these. So there's 10 of them available, and I'll be selling them tonight for $19.95, and a portion of that will go back here into the club. Okay? So that's my little product, but I'm going to also use our knowledge about Kickstarter to get this on Kickstarter. Might be putting the chicken after the horse after the cart, because most people on Kickstarter have already been through this, but not all of them have gone through the process all the way to have enough really correctly done so that they will be successful. This ought to change that. So there's my little bloody pitch. Okay?
Adrian, can I say one more thing?
Yes, please. And then we're going to have questions for all of you.
One of the things, the other thing that just came to me was what Adrian said about having a foundation is really good because we had a one-page website that just said register. That's all it did. It didn't say register. It didn't say your name, your age, anything like that. It just said enter your email and register. And what we did is we gave those people that registered, we told them exactly when we were going to launch, and we said we have early bird specials for you. So if you're the first 100 people that get this thing, you're going to get this at a significantly discounted price. And what that does is somebody from Indiegogo actually told me it's like a restaurant. If you're walking downtown and you see that there's a lot of people at a restaurant, you're going to want to go there. If there's not a lot of people going there, you're probably going to think that the food's not that great. So that's what you want to do. You want to get those people to actually commit at the beginning. So when you start your Kickstarter project, you have that base that's going to drive that initial momentum that's going to then take your project to a little higher.
Why that's so important is because LinkedIn has the metrics to watch how fast your project's taking off. Success breeds success. They want to promote the fastest up rising stars. So it's in the very first few hours. If they can see your program's taking off, they will promote you harder. You get seen more. So we've been working on it for over 6 months. We have over 1,000 likes. We're building up a base. We have to have we guessed, let's get 1,000 people behind us before we even launch. So that when this takes off, boom, the initial rush brings the attention. That'll get better promotion. Questions? Let's begin. Who's that for?
Also wondering, should you have kind of a tier? Let's say the first 100 get the reduced price, but other early adopters, you might want to offer them something too.
Yes, we did have a breakdown of the tier. It was, there was certain levels that you would still get a discount, but the first ones got a significant discount and not so much of a discount like that. But
The early
you're
adopters.
correct, yes. So.
Yeah, no, we had a little bit of that, not like yours, because I think I saw yours day one.
Oh,
And
okay.
I thought it was such a fantastic thing that if only I, ate pancakes once in a while, I would have been one of your day one supporters. And I also don't have kids, but yeah, because we got that momentum, that's one of the reasons why we had 40% by number of our supporters came from Kickstarter, is because we were our metrics were kind of towards the top of our group. So people were seeing us on the first page. And we canceled. But we canceled, and I think a lot because of our timing. What he's saying is so important. We did some early bird, and then we also did some limited time promotions with some bigger batteries and some stuff like that. And we saw immediate responses. And when we saw the immediate responses, we got correlated. We went up the Kickstarter board. At one time, we were 14th overall on Kickstarter. It was a slow day, really slow day. But when that happened, we generated a lot of corollary, people who were coming at it because they saw it, because we were on the top of the page.
Wonderful. Marvin?
Yes, excuse me. There's pancakes, flapjacks by a lot of different names, been made for an awful lot of years. And I see here that from the diagram that it is actually, the pancake is actually drawn to meet a certain person's preference. My question is, once it's cooked on one side, how do you flip it over?
That's a good question. Right now, it's not automated, so you have to manually flip it. And then, what's interesting about pancakes is that when there's a big science behind how to dispense it, there's air pressure, there's viscosity, and there's timing. But we use heat and timing to create color differentiations. So you can actually create different shades in the pancake batter. But then once you get to a certain point, you give it a flip, and then you get your pancake. So it's the same thing that pancake artists do with their hands. It's just a matter of timing on it.
Super parents, we call them.
Yeah.
Kickstarter questions. What's next?
For Miguel, you say you took the product to maker fairs? Are those just like vendor fairs?
Maker fairs, the maker movement was started around 2006 by a gentleman named Dale Dougherty. He started a magazine called Make Magazine, and I think it was initially started through MIT students to create what's now called the maker movement. And what it is, it's a do-it-yourself fair where you can go to the fair and show off what you did. Everything from people driving around in little cars that look like cupcakes to people walking on stilts to making whatever it is. And what it is it's a great community for you to get your ideas out there and get feedback just from anybody on there. It's kind of like, you have to go to one. I
It's
don't
a
understand.
creative festival, and
Yeah.
awesome when you see kids there. They're getting their exposure to science and technology and engineering. Again, go on our Facebook page. The Makers Fairs rotate. We've been promoting them ever since they started. There was one here in San Diego a few months ago. There's still a group here in town that does meet regularly that does a very bit smaller meeting. But it's a very active community here in the country, and it's helping people that innovate and create to get seen and get some initial feedback.
So you brought your Lego prototype there and started making pancakes?
We were in Norway, and it was 2012, and we took we just decided to jump on a plane and go to this maker fair and show off our pancake robot. We registered in advance and everything, and when I got my luggage, the thing was destroyed because I didn't glue it together. So I had to remember how to put it all together. But when we went to the first initial fair, we were just making round pancakes. And the crowd was just amazed because you're talking pancakes, robots, and Lego all mixed together. I mean, I don't know how my daughter came up with this combination of things, but it was just, like, hey, make some robot pancakes. I'll quickly tell you that the story is actually inspired by Make Magazine, because I was reading Make Magazine Volume 2, and there's a story in there, or an article written by Bob Parks, and it was talking about prototyping with Lego. And my daughter asked me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm reading about a guy named Adrian Marshall from the UK that made a pancake stamping machine prototype out of Lego." And her eyes got really big, and she turned to her sister and said, "Papa's going to build a pancake machine out of Legos." And when a 3.5-year-old tells you to build a pancake machine out of Legos, you better spend a couple $100 to do that. So,
A couple more questions. Dan?
Who licensed your pancake box?
we were approached by several companies, and we decided to go with a company called Storebound, and they are based out of New York City. And it wasn't strictly just a license deal where we would hand it off. It was more of a deal where they were more working with us as a manufacturer, and I still had input to be able to do things for the product and assist in the marketing and those kind of things. So,
Yes.
Did any of you get, what happened in Kickstarter if you get a cease order, like this particular product is infringement on some patents already out there?
that has not happened to me.
It's,
The question was about if somebody sues because of an
What
infringement.
if you're not going to the patent route, but
It's-
if you go to Kickstarter, what happened if you get a cease order from an attorney?
Well, you had the patent before you went on a Kickstarter?
Yes, we had a provisional patent before that, yes. No, the Kickstarter and provisional patents are two different things. So Kickstarter is just to raise funds, and then the patent is to protect your idea.
But you
But-
get it filed before you present it?
Yes, you
no,
want it.
but, yeah, what he's saying, a number of Kickstarters do get cease and desist, but it's very rare.
Yeah.
Many more Kickstarters are open source, and there's a danger for trying to get a cease and desist against an open source group, because they might get defended and you might lose your patent, because many of the patents out there are completely invalid. I've gotten cease and desist orders from a company that patented motion over the internet, and their technology was the same as the technology on tickle belts in the early 80s for attempting to get deaf children to hear. But they also had a provision that if holodecks were ever invented, their patent covered it. Specifically without using that word. So it's very rare. Two of the Kickstarters I backed did get cease and desists. But one of them just had to change their name.
You have a
So,
question?
Ask you a question.
Yeah, Brent.
You said there's two ways to raise money at Kickstarter. One is just to, I guess, develop the product. The other one is to market it, I guess, kind of do. And you got it to market, is that correct, Miguel, for your pancake pot?
Yes, we're bringing it to market as we speak right now.
So you don't have to have it ready to market, right?
No, you need to have an actual prototype.
You have to have an actual
You
prototype.
either need to have an actual prototype or it needs to be in development. One of the things with Kickstarter is that we were not able to have 3D renderings as our prime picture. We had to have a working prototype.
Oh, and then you can have it funded, you can have
A
people actually
Working
put your-
prototype.
A
You
working
got-
Proves the
you got purchase
concept's
orders,
viable.
right, didn't you?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
okay,
I mean
that's what I'm
purchase
saying.
orders, I guess. We got
Okay.
orders for
Yeah,
each one of them.
Okay.
So we did have an acrylic prototype that I developed, and then we did have a one that was 3D printed by a manufacturer.
Okay.
But they really show it's an actual real system that actually really works.
Yeah.
Okay,
A lot of people don't even have that yet.
I got you.
Those people a lot of times go to Indiegogo, and Indiegogo has a lot less restrictions on their crowdfunding. And just as an example, within 24 hours of reaching our goal, our whole website on Kickstarter was duplicated and placed on Indiegogo by some third party who is trying to scam people into raising money. And luckily, somebody identified it, and we contacted Indiegogo, and they took it down. But that was one of the reasons why we went with Kickstarter, was because they had more oversight, and we felt they were more protected with our product going with Kickstarter.
Indiegogo, you can raise funds for medical devices. Kickstarter, you can't. There's a couple other differences.
Indigo you can launch right away, where Kickstarter has a review.
Yeah, to have a review.
Can you
Did
launch
you
on
patent your thing in the States or no?
Yes, it's patented in the States. They're patent pending right now in the States.
One more question, and then we got another 10, 20 slides to go through.
Just curious, how long, because, so how long is people willing to wait for the product? Because like, okay, of course Christmas is special because people are so focused on buying something, but otherwise in general, how many months can you promise delivery? Otherwise people think it's too far in the future, I don't care anymore.
so that's covered in some of the facts, and it changes, but 90% of Kickstarters don't deliver on time. But of that, 70 some odd percent, I think, or 60, 70% deliver 2 to 6 months late, which is just reality.
But I think, going to your question, it really depends on the product itself. If it's I think people are more willing to wait if it's something high tech. If it's something that's low tech, that's simpler, it doesn't require much manufacturing, people are anticipating that the product's going to come a lot sooner. So.
Just to finish that,
Yeah.
there's a wonderful prototype for a 3D PCB printing makes effectively printed circuit boards for you, they were 6 months to a year out, and they funded in the millions. Yeah, that was too long for me.
All right, well, I think that does it for tonight. I want to thank Mike and Roth and Miguel.